the teacher, the principal is coming. Some of the
Test, test,
they can't come.
test, test.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, January 28th, 2019 meeting of the Durham County Board of Commissioners. So nice to see so many people here with us tonight. Very special visitors that we have. I will now share the public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. As a courtesy to others, please turn off your cell phones during the meeting. And I will now ask that we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, do we have any agenda adjustments this evening?
Announcements? You wanna go
We can
through
add
those?
that to the end of the agenda.
So we want to add to the agenda, this is RN Harris students, and they want to make a couple of presentations.
Okay. Can I have a motion to add this item to the agenda? We have a motion, a
Motion.
second?
Second.
And moved by Commissioner Howerton, seconded by Commissioner Reckow. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the agenda has been adjusted. Okay, announcements this evening. Go Triangle approves fare free for unpaid federal workers. The Go Triangle Board voted on January 23rd for free fare for federal workers. We know that today people were back at work, and we hope that we don't have another shutdown and that people will not be out of work again come the middle of February. But if that happens, I'm sure that this will be available to people at that time as well. Our LEAP program, our Low Income Energy Assistance Program, is open right now to all Durham County residents until March 31st. And you can apply at the Department of Social Services in Crisis Lobby 27, Monday through Friday, 414 East Main Street from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. You can also call 919-560-8000 to schedule an appointment. You can also walk in. And this is for help with heating bills. And please bring a photo ID, Social Security card, income verification, and verification of your heating source or heating bill to your appointment. The 2019 Golden Leaf Award nominations are being accepted right now. So if you know of a property that you would like to nominate for its design, preservation, curb appeal, or stewardship of the natural or built environment, please nominate them. You can go online to find the nominations. They will be available at the Durham County website, and those applications are open until February 2019. You can also call Kayla Seibel at 919-560-4137, extension 28271, to find out more about these awards. The Durham Youth Work Program is looking for local employers to host youth interns. This is the 16th year of our program. We have a goal of serving at least 200 youth for summer jobs. And we would really like to get to, actually, we would like to get to 300 paid summer internships if possible. But the only way we can do this is with the participation of our employers and the business community. If you would like to sponsor a position for a youth or get involved with the program, the expo is going to be held on February 23rd from 9 a.m. to noon at the Chesterfield Building in downtown Durham at 107 West Main Street. You can find out about getting involved, hosting a youth intern by looking again at our website, the city's Office of Economic and Workforce Development website. You can also call Jamie Vaughn at 919-560-4965, extension 15221. Boys of Color Conference, My Brother's Keeper of Durham and North Carolina Central University Male Achievement Center is having a conference on April 13th, 2019 from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Miller Morgan Auditorium at 1801 Fayetteville Street on the NCCU campus. And the theme is Be the Change, the rededication to Black male achievement. This is a free event for all young males, 14 and up. We suggest you pre-register. You can also get involved with volunteering or sponsoring, and you can contact My Brother's Keeper at dconc.gov. And again, more information will be on our website under the announcements. We're 150 years old, y'all. This year we will be celebrating the 150th anniversary of the city of Durham. And we will be honoring the change makers who have shaped Durham's unique sense of place and touting Durham's position in the future. Please save the date. April 13th, 2019 is the big kickoff. And you can find out more at www.durham150.org. There are going to be all kinds of things happening throughout the year. Alert Durham, if you haven't signed up yet, go to alertdurham.com so that you can know about any emergency messages happening in Durham, and get involved. We have 43 active advisory boards, and we welcome you to participate in any of those boards and commissions. And I will now pass the next item on to Commissioner Howerton. If you would please introduce the next part of our announcements that we just added.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So a few months ago, I shared a booklet that I had gotten from our national organization about counties. And this is a little booklet here, talks about what counties do. I shared it with the superintendent, and he said he would like for all of the third graders in Durham Public Schools to have one of these. So I was able to order 3,000 from our national organization, and they didn't cost the schools a dime. They shipped it, didn't even charge shipping costs. So one of the classes that they shared it with, I got all these thank you cards. And as I'm sitting in the car reading them, I'm thinking, you know, the rest of the commissioners need to know about this. And our young people that sent us these thank you letters and their teacher, it would be great to have them come and thank us themselves and read some of their cards so that they get to do it themselves, that they share their thank yous with the rest of the board, and that they get to come to our meetings. So the principal is here. Where's the principal? So you want to come up and choose a couple of, so while she's coming up, this is what one of the cards says. Says, to our county commissioners, I want to thank you so much for the books. I said that because I like all of the activities in the booklets. But what really got me was also thank you for taking your time just to do this for us. You guys are just about to make me cry. You guys are some of the nicest people in the world. And this is from Eric. So I got cards like this and a bunch of cards. So I decided that you want to pick a couple of the students.
I would like to pick a couple of the students, but if I could have all of them stand.
Yes.
They came out as a collective body, so could we have all of our Arn Harris Eagles stand up?
Woo-hoo!
Know that 8 and 9-year-olds don't drive themselves, so if we could have the parents to stand up as well too. And of course, and last but certainly not least, the teachers and our fantastic superintendent, Dr. And if we could have just a couple of the students, and I'll just look at the cards to see which ones we have. Thank you, cards. And since we couldn't have all the kids to come, we may have, just a few to stand in. If we could have Jude to come forward, please. Jude, I have her card.
Other community to other community commission, I thank you for taking care of our community by building houses and schools. We like learning about how our city works. The booklets are very helpful. They are also fun too. From Abakuchu Rio Serrano.
And if we could have Carmen Matthews to come forth, please. Miss Carmen.
You for giving. We appreciate you for giving us these pretty books. Thank taking the bad people away so we can live safe now. We also know that you built a lot of houses and schools so we can learn and live. We learned about the people who run Durham County and what jobs they have. We are glad to have people who care about us. Thank you for the booklets. We will enjoy using.
Yes, if we could have one more. And lastly, if we could have Gerard Yarborough to come forth. Mr. Yarborough.
Thank you.
Right. once again, on behalf of R.N. Harris Integrated Art Core Knowledge Magnet School, that's a mouthful, we want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to say thank you. We are trying to teach our students that we not only take from our community, but we give. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight. It is an honor to have all of you with us, all of the students and the parents and the teachers and the principal and, of course, Dr. Mubanga. We are all so proud of you for the beautiful thank you notes that you have written to us. We really appreciate them. Thank you so much.
Let me have one more moment, if you will, please. I just thought that this is so important for our young people to begin to learn what it is that county government do. And the booklet has coloring in it, cartoons in it, so they can color, so it's not so boring when talk about county government. So they could do that. And the other thing is, it would be great I think the young people would like to get a picture with the commissioners. Can we take a moment to
Sure.
do that?
Absolutely.
I just make one-
Yeah, Commissioner Recco.
And I want to applaud the teachers also, because they use this as a real good teachable moment to help the students learn how important it is to learn how to write well so that you can write letters and thank you notes. And so doing something that's going to be received by someone else and read is very important. And so I'm proud of the students who wrote the notes and proud of the teachers for developing such a good lesson plan.
Yeah, they did a great
you.
job. And all the notes I'll share them, the rest of them with all my board members, so thank you. If we can have if you can line up here, we'll get a picture of you. The teachers too.
Now, all of the students and their families, I just want to say you do not need to feel obligated to stay at our meeting. You are welcome to leave now, or you can stay, but please do not feel that you need to stay any longer. I'm sure you all have homework and other things to do, but you are welcome, but we will not be offended if you decide to leave now.
Warm by comparison, huh?
The next item on our agenda are the minutes from December 3rd, 2018.
Move approval.
I have a correction before you do that.
Okay.
I can get into my email, my computer here.
I just,
That was the day that I was about 10 minutes late, and the vote was taken before I came into the room.
right.
So, so that was incorrect.
What was incorrect?
That it wasn't stated that I wasn't present for the vote. It was because I was 10 minutes late getting here. I didn't vote on that.
Well,
But it still carried unanimously.
it still carried unanimously with the people who were here.
Well, it needs to state that I was 10 minutes late getting here, not have the opportunity to vote.
So
So I wasn't here.
do you remember, did you arrive, I think you arrived just before the installation of Soil and Water Conservation District?
I arrived late because of traffic, so the vote had already been
Yeah, I
taken
know, but-
before I arrived.
So the best thing to do would be for the clerk to insert that Commissioner Howerton arrived at whatever the time and indicated was.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I just
So,
noticed that that was incorrect, yeah.
Okay. So, Michelle, if you could go back then and just modify,
Monica.
Monica.
And
Oh,
correct
God.
that.
Monica.
Yeah, that's-
Michelle would probably be happy about that. If you could just modify it to indicate the time that Commissioner Howerton arrived and that she indicated she was delayed due to the traffic. If that could be referenced in there.
So I will amend my motion to include that change minute.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Recco, seconded by Commissioner Carter. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are unanimously approved. I just wanted to make sure that staff takes a look at the directives because when I looked at the directives, there were things that were actually specified to take place at the January work session, which have not happened. So if everybody just looks at those directives, and I'm not going to go over them right now, but just to look at those, there were things that were referenced.
And in that regard, we need to get a system going where the directives get put out. We had talked about just having maybe the clerk even during the course of the meeting noting directives, at least the ones that they can attend to or write down so that work could start immediately afterwards as opposed to
Waiting
wait.
for the minutes.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We have several ceremonial items here tonight, and we have a lot of people, also special guests here with us for these ceremonial items. And we will start with the two library-related items, and I will invite you, Tammy, to come up and tell us about these items and and all the exciting things related to them.
I didn't pay them to hand clap. Way to go. Good evening. This is a wonderful opportunity to be here tonight, and it is an exciting meeting knowing that we've just recognized third graders. Now we're going to recognize some adults, and then later we'll also recognize some teens. So we are covering the gamut tonight,
Okay.
and that's wonderful. Durham County Library is dedicated to our mission of encouraging discovery, connecting the community, and leading in literacy. Our greatest resource at the library is the staff, and staff are demonstrating that every day, being on the front line and providing exceptional service. and they're providing that service in the form of programs. And those are two of the programs that I want to recognize tonight from some of our staff members. The first one is for the Public Relations Promotional Program Award, and this is all through NCPLDA, which stands for North Carolina Public Library Directors Association. So I'm going to ask at this time if Hatoko Ueyame Burke would come up. Hatoko is our graphic designer and photographer extraordinaire, and she was recognized by NCPLDA for her chronicling of the main library renovation project. And of course, this is continuing, so you can imagine she has fun. So I'm going to give her a moment to say a few words, and then we'll move into Bike Month.
Hi everyone, my name is Hitoko Park, and thank you to me. I am the designer at the library, and it's been 10 years. This year I was 10th anniversary, and I'm been very happy to work with you, library people, and thank you. And I enjoy people come to us and read books, and it's really, I have 3 kids, and I remember now they are older than I am, but when they were little, I used to take to the library, and especially when I got a divorce, that was like 10 years ago, and I needed support, and I couldn't live, survive without you guys. And I really appreciate, and my kids reading books all the time and smile and happy, and I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and Hitoko. And we also have a, we'd like to recognize you also. The Durham County Board of County Commissioners recognizes Hitoko Ueyame Burke for her dedication to Durham County and the Durham County Library, and acknowledges the presentation of the North Carolina Public Library Directors Association's Public Relations Promotional Project Award for her photographs of Transformation, Maine, given this day, January 28th, 2019. Wendy Jacobs, on behalf of our board. Thank you so much.
Another star employee at the library is Mark Donnelly. Mark Donnelly is the Adult Services Librarian at East Regional, and he has been celebrating Bike Month. He brought that program to the library, in which there are free helmets for children. So I'd like for Mark to come up as well. There's special recognition to all the different partners that Mark has brought into this Bike Month celebration, and I'll go through the list of partners, and then Mark will share a few additional remarks about that. It's Durham Bike Co-op, Safe Kids Durham, Reverend Sarah Woodard, volunteers from St. Titus Episcopal Church, Durham Police Department, Durham EMS, Durham County Office of Sheriff, State of North Carolina Department of Transportation, and Line Bike. At this time, I'll.
Thank you, Tammy. Bike Month is a national bike awareness month that occurs each year, and a few years ago, the library began hosting events where children and adults could come and have helmets for free, placed on their heads, sized up properly, and children, given the emphasis that safety on bicycles is really critical to just using the bike properly. We also do some bike rodeos. That's where the police and EMS have been helpful. That shows children how to brake, how to stop, how to position your bike in relation to the curb, things like that. Very useful stuff, very important for the upbringing of children. My wife and I were out riding last summer, and both of us hit a slippery spot in the road, and we both fell down. We were going pretty fast. We had helmets on. We both hit our heads on the ground at the same time.
Wow.
And we went to the emergency room. My wife had a concussion. I was perfectly fine. But when you fall from a bike, you typically hit your head. And if your child is wearing a helmet, your child has a much better chance of survival. And this is not only bikes, but skateboards and lately scooters, etc. But thank you to the library for the recognition. Happy to be part of. Biking is something that I love to do, and to be able to express it through this program gives me a lot of joy and makes me very happy. Thank you so much, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you, Mark. And we would like to also present you with this recognition. The Durham County Board of County Commissioners recognizes Mark Donnelly for his dedication to Durham County and the Durham County Library, and acknowledges the presentation of the North Carolina Public Library Directors Association's Library Programming Award for Children for Bike Month, free helmets for children, this 28th day of January 2019. Wendy Jacob.
I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge their supervisors, as well as Annie Mountcastle, who is our grant writer and liaison to the Friends Group. So without her help also of writing these grants, we may not be here with this recognition. And Lauren Dahl is the supervisor for Mark Donnelly, and Stephanie Bonestell could not be here tonight, but she's the supervisor for Hotoko Burke. So kudos to them as well. Thank you.
Now, tonight we are also celebrating another exciting library program, the Higher Orbits Go for Launch Durham. And so, Tammy, are you hosting this as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Durham County Library is literally out of this world. There's no other way to start that. Our vision is about inspiring lives and transforming Durham. This program, Go for Launch Durham, has done and continues to do just that. A little bit of credit first to the folks that made this program possible, and then I'd like to bring up Matt Clobridge and Michelle Lucas for recognition of our participants. Matt Clobridge is our manager of our IT department. And you wouldn't think of the manager of the IT department being the one to bring to you a Go for Launch program, maybe not even a program at all. But Matt had this idea and came to me and wanted to know if we could make this happen, and it was an instant yes, we have to do this. It fits in with our priority goals. It fits in with our STEAM initiatives of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So this is something that we definitely needed to bring to the community. So great job, Matt, for bringing this to Durham County Library. Additionally, Michelle Lucas is with Higher Orbits. her personality is just, oh gosh, it's just contagious. And if she ever leaves higher orbits, I hope she will apply for a job at the library. And I keep saying that with hopes that one day she will take us up on that offer. Michelle was instrumental in working with Matt to make this program possible. And she has brought a great deal of knowledge and organization to this event being possible. And again, they'll tell you a little bit more about it. So I'm going to ask the two of them to go ahead and come up. And while they're coming forward, I want to also acknowledge the Durham Library Foundation. Karen Wells is the executive director. She's unable to be here tonight, but we do have Sarah Stevens, who is the library development officer. And they work together to make the program happen with the foundation. And we were generously given a donation that this program was able to take place for free. Our first program was $25 per participant. And then after that, with over 200 kids coming through, it was free through this, this gift that we received. And I know you're thinking all programs at the library are free and open to the public. They are, but there are some programs as things are changing that we can't do at a $0 level. So this was a great opportunity for that. I'm going to turn it over to them, and we'll get to recognizing those teams that are out there smiling at me right now. Okay.
Thank you, Tammy. I met Michelle Lucas in the summer of 2016 at Space Camp, of all places. It was an alumni reunion weekend, so I went down there and we got to talking. And as you'll see in a second, she is passionate about what she does, passionate about educating teens in STEAM. And we got talking about what she does with Higher Orbits and this program that is a 3-day program for teens that brings an astronaut to work with the teens for all 3 days. They develop a project that could be launched, an experiment that could be launched to space, and then they present that project, and there's a winner declared. And that winner then competes with other events to actually be launched into to the space station. So she explained all this to me, and I was like, okay, we have to find a way to bring this to the library. It's just a no-brainer. So I came back. As soon as I got back, I sat down with Tammy. I don't think I got the words out of my mouth. I explained the whole thing. She didn't even let me finish. She's like, yes, let's bring it. So I want to really thank Tammy for the support of making this happen, and especially to the Durham Library Foundation for the generous donation to allow us to do 6 programs here in Durham, 5 at each of the library locations, and then 1 at the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of the Triangle. So I just want to thank everyone who's involved with that, and Michelle will tell you about the teens and their experiment and everything, but thank you for your support, foundation support, and the library support.
Hi, thanks for having me. And Tammy, for the record, I love Durham, so if I ever pass the reins of Higher Orbits, it's always a possibility. It's such an honor to be here with all of you, and I want to tell you that I have grown to love Durham, and I say that because my first trip to Durham was when I came here for this program, so I knew nothing before that, other than that you had the Durham Bulls, and Bull Durham is my favorite movie on the planet. I run this program all across the country. If you told me 6 years ago that I would leave my technical career at NASA's Johnson Space Center to spend my days working with teenagers, I probably would have told you were crazy, because I thought the technical world was my thing for forever. And then I started working with amazing students, like the 5 students we have here from Team Orion, and I was hooked. The support from your community is unlike anything I've seen across the country. I've run programs in, I know I should know the number and I need to do that, but more than a dozen states. We've reached over 1,200 students. We have launched 8 experiments to the International Space Station, but no other community has the support for this program that Durham has had. Every other program, the students have to pay between $250 and $300 to attend. The fact that your library and your library foundation and your community in general support this says so much about the Durham community. I want to thank all of you for believing in our next generation of STEMists and explorers and doing what you can to further their inspiration. I joke that I'm not trying to turn them all into rocket scientists, but I suspect everyone here on the county commission remembers where they were 33 years ago today, whether you realize what the anniversary is or not. Today is the 33rd anniversary of the Challenger disaster. Space, while hard and sometimes challenging, literally, it's also very inspirational. So thank you for sharing your students with us. Thank you, Durham Library Foundation. I am so grateful to you. And thank you so much to Tammy and Matt, because you two are the biggest champions this program has ever had. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. I'd like to ask our students to stand up for a round of applause. And also, I'd like for their parents to stand up because they have been very supportive in getting them to the classes. If the students would come up this way, please. I think there's a...
And I would just say, I would love to hear maybe from one of the students about your project. From what I read, that, you know, there was something very special about what you were able to do with your project. So maybe you could tell us all about that, one of you, or all of you, however you want to do it.
I guess. So our project was testing the viability of a specific type of fungus which absorbs radiation, and seeing if that would block radiation in outer space in order to mitigate the chance of getting cancer for astronauts, which is a huge problem. There's a lot of radiation. So we're still analyzing the data now. Not completely sure what the outcome is, but it's possible that it might be able to block radiation, which would be great.
And isn't it true that your project went up into the launch to the space station as well? It was chosen as one of those projects.
And we would just like to thank the Durham Library Foundation and Durham Library in general for providing this great opportunity, as well as Michelle Lucas. It was really amazing. We got to go see the launch actually down in Florida at no cost to ourselves, which was huge. It was amazing.
Wow, well, thank you all so much. Matthew, for bringing this to Durham, and Tammy and everyone, the foundation that supported it. To you, Michelle, for, you know, just everything that you've done. And I know we've all taken to heart the words that you've said about the Durham community. And I just want to recognize all the parents. And I think, are there other students as well that are here that may not be in this group who participated?
We have at least one other student. Let's see, we have one student here who was part of our program this past weekend, which is our new event. And so I'll embarrass her and say, Pascal, can you just give a wave? I won't make you stand.
Okay. Just want to make sure maybe we'll have everyone who's involved, parents, anyone who's involved with this program, if you'd stand up. Parents too. Yes. Okay. So we have some.
If we, excuse me, Commissioner
Yes.
Jacob, if we could take one more minute.
Yes.
The students would like to each have a moment to say something, and some of it will be through a thank you card that they would like to read.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say thank you to, Durham in general. It's a great city. It's, very fun to live here. And I want to thank Michelle for giving this fabulous opportunity. The space is my dream, so hopefully I can accomplish it and, be further with this experiment. I want to thank Matt for, letting us, having this competition in Durham. It's a big community, and I just wanted to say thank you to all.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you've all heard it before, but this success has done so much for me, and I hope it'll take me places. But again, none of it would have happened if it weren't for Durham, if it weren't for Matt and Tammy, who sponsored this and got together with Michelle to make this whole thing happen. I really just can't say enough how grateful I am for this opportunity and how things aligned. So thank you very much, and I hope I have the opportunity to do it again.
so like what my other teammates had said before, I just want to thank Durham County Library for sponsoring this event and letting me meet these fabulous people and be able to work with my teammates and creating an experiment that could be launched into this space. And it was a great experience for me, and it brought me one step closer to achieving my dreams of becoming an aerospace engineer.
I would like to thank everyone involved with this experience and just making a camp that we took over summer break or spring break into an experiment that was launched into space. It's really out of this world. So, thank you.
Well, thank you all. And we have certificates here for recognizing Matthew Lowbridge, and I would ask, I'm just going to read everyone's names off. Michelle Lucas, Graham Shunk, Jameson R. Fuller, Finn Poulin, Xavier Gomez, and also Srikar Prasad Kaligotla. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. So thank you all so much. Matthew. Okay, and Michelle. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, and Graham.
They gave you, they're neat. Way to go. What an awesome sounding.
And Jameson.
Well, you're inspirational. Your enthusiasm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, sir. We did. We're glad that you had this opportunity.
Congratulations.
Love those t-shirts.
Yes.
You're a goal sayer.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Good luck with your dreams. Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have one more ceremonial item tonight, last but not least. Wanda Boone, would you please come up? We have a resolution, a proclamation for Together for Resilient Youth Prevention Month. And Wanda, I'm going to read this, and then if you would like to share some words. Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Together for Resilient Youth Prevention Month 2019. Whereas prevention of mental and substance use disorder works, treatment is effective, and people recover in our area and around the nation. And whereas preventing substance use is essential to achieving healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally. And whereas we must encourage youth, parents, adults, relatives, and friends to participate in preventative measures, recognize the signs of a substance use problem, use of naloxone, and guide those in need to appropriate resources and support services. And whereas according to the 2017 Durham County Youth Risk Behavior Survey, in the last 30 days before responding to the survey, high school students reported 10% cigarette use and 14% vape tobacco use, 21% alcohol use, 22% marijuana use, and 13% prescription medication use. Risky behaviors such as suicide indicate 16% of high school students reported that they considered committing suicide during the 12 months. And whereas to promote resilience and increase environmental strategies, we invite all residents of Durham to participate with Together for Resilient Youth, or TRY, in preventing substance use, the impact of adverse childhood experiences, other negative outcomes associated with substance use, including violence, crime, suicide, poor health, and overdose, and providing support to parents that have lost children due to overdose. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Wendy Jacobs, Chair of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2019 as Together for Resilient Youth Prevention Month in Durham County, and hereby call upon the citizens of Durham to observe this month with appropriate activities and programs throughout the community this 28th day of January 2019. Wendy Jacobs, Chair of the Durham County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you very much. The statistics that you heard may sound daunting. They may even sound depressing. But I'm proud to let you know that those numbers are all down from previous years. So Durham, including the work that TRI has done, has really made a difference in substance use in Durham County. I'm very proud of that fact and the other individuals that we work with. So Nancy Neepkins is here, and my husband Earl is here. I'm sorry that some of the other coalition members couldn't be here, but I do want to mention a couple of things. So we are a coalition. We meet every second Wednesday of the month and we're going into our 16th year. And we all come together to work collaboratively, bringing our stakeholder skills to the table. So we have LIFT, Living in Future Tense, for young people ages 9 to 17, College Try, young adults ages 18 to 24. We have the Good Neighbor Business Network, and that's Nancy's expertise, where she has worked very hard in making sure that almost 450 alcohol outlets in Durham follow the law, don't sell to minors, and really what we've seen, as witnessed by our researched and evaluated process, that CDC is actually following now. Crime has been reduced in Durham at the same rate that non-compliance has gone down in alcohol outlets. So I want to give a shout out to Nancy and her working on that with youth and others. We have faith community at the table, law enforcement, both police department and sheriff's office, community members. We have representatives from each of the 5 districts in Durham. That becomes important because if we want to ensure that we have cultural competence and that the strategies, the evidence-based strategies that we use really are beneficial and effective in the community, then what better way to do that than to have community representation? So we're proud of that. We have the health system involved, school system, parents, and Resilient Together is sadly our newest group of parents that have lost children due to overdose. So when you think about that kind of collaborative with everybody bringing their skills and input into preventing substance use, risky behaviors, then that's how TRI can get the things done that we've been able to. So you read the data, and the data is right there in the report for anybody to see on healthydurham.org and also on our website, durhamtri.org. I would encourage you to go to durhamtri.org so that you can see all of the different things that we're working on. Our young people are going to Washington, D.C. with me. We're leaving next Sunday because I'm receiving a national award. But that award would not be possible if it weren't for the input of the young people who developed their own strategic action plan on how to reduce substance use within their peer sector. So we have a college student that's going, we have a young person that's going, and they're going to receive the award with me. The last thing that I want to say, because I could say a whole lot, has to do with marijuana use. I want to also say that our concern regarding alcohol has to do with underage drinking and making sure that people don't binge drink. So drinking responsibly. but we are not teetotalers, and we don't believe in shutting down every place that sells alcohol. I just want to put that out there because sometimes people think that we're doing a little more than we are. But in terms of marijuana and whether marijuana is legalized or not, if it is legalized, some of the things that we're looking at, as we see across the country, would be systems such as exist with alcohol outlets. So a control system where marijuana would be sold at certain locations that are certified, and the same thing that they're doing in Colorado. But the fact of the matter is that young people are smoking marijuana now. So what we need to understand is what that impact is. And I have a handout for each of you that's from Colorado. It's their public health issue that's about, I don't want to exaggerate, 80 pages long, that talks about how marijuana use, recreational marijuana use, not medical marijuana use, impacts young people and young adults. So this is what that one pager looks like, and I just want to mention a couple of things from it. Our young people think that because marijuana is green and from the earth, that there are not adverse challenges associated with it. But according to this report, heavy marijuana use is identified as smoking 5 to 7 times a week, part of a joint or a whole joint. Regular marijuana use is having one joint, part of a joint, 1 to 4 times a week, and occasional use is less than weekly. If you talk to your children, their peers, and identify how much young people are smoking marijuana, they would probably fall into the regular use. One joint or part of a joint, 1 to 4 times a week, okay? So what this data shows us is that regular marijuana use can cause or develop psychotic symptoms such as schizophrenia in adulthood. The marijuana that we may have known about a long time ago is not the same marijuana. It is more potent, and the protective component of marijuana, not the tetrahydroxycannabinoid, has been decreased in marijuana, which leaves us with this product that can have a negative input on our children's minds, schizophrenia that can develop even if they stop smoking in their early 20s. All right, so that's the message. The message is that young people should not smoke marijuana. Just as in young people who drink alcohol. Not every single young person that drinks alcohol, even though it's illegal, doesn't become an alcoholic. But we don't play with young people's lives and pretend that it's okay. So we need to protect the developing brain that doesn't fully develop until someone is 25 years of age. So we reached about 900 students last year, giving them this information, helping them understand that just like tobacco is addictive, marijuana is addictive. Our young people need help and treatment so that they can stop smoking cigarettes using Juul and also stop smoking marijuana. It can be addictive. It is addictive. Our young people are using it, and we need to help them understand the dangers associated with it. So we talk about alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, tobacco, Juul, whatever the new thing is. But there will always be a new thing. And we have to understand and help young people at the very root and foundation that causes their need for experimenting with drugs. It's not just the parent, not just the school, it's not just the community. It's what they see on TV, what they experience in social media. So our young people are giving us the tools to help them to live stronger and healthier lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda, and thank you for sharing all that sobering information about marijuana. Thank you. Commissioner Howerton.
Thank you. Thank you, Wanda, for giving us such an incredible report. Congratulations on your award. Could you say a little bit more about the report, and then I have a
Sure. So there's a national organization that falls under Substance Use Mental Health Services Administration in Washington. It's called CADCA, Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. And we are receiving what's called a GOT Outcomes Award for the work that we've been doing since 2010 in Durham, which was to show that when you have decreased non-compliance in alcohol outlets, crime goes down and underage drinking goes down. So we're receiving that award in Washington, D.C. We're going to meet with the Surgeon General, lots of pomp and circumstance. And there's papers written about it. But I guess the most important thing to say about it is that our young people really took a lot of responsibility by going into convenience stores and talking to the managers and helping convenience stores understand that they care as much about underage drinking and the health of the community as we do. So we've been able to see those changes well documented and evaluated.
My two questions are the marijuana. What is the major market for our young people? Where is the major market for them as far as getting access?
Well, young people get marijuana from home, from their relatives who don't understand the dangers and who feel that it's safer to use marijuana than it is alcohol. They get marijuana from their peers, and they get marijuana from dealers that are out there selling it to everybody else. The other concern is that fentanyl has entered just about every substance that we talk about, marijuana and prescription drugs.
So what you're saying is it's very easy for our young people to get access.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The other question that I had, there was something in your report about bullying. Can't find it. The percentage of bullying that's happening.
Mm-hmm. I actually didn't include that in this report, but it is in the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. Bullying is an issue in our schools. I've done several programs for elementary school students and parents on bullying and moving along into middle school. I can say, and these classes are attended by children and their parents, which I love, because parents can hear the fact that they may be bullies. Parents can also understand that they may be bullied at work. So in addition to talking to young children and middle school students and high school students about bullying, parents need to understand that the way that the way that we all talk to children, the way that we all think about children, and not look at some children as being little adults or fully adults, and other children as being poor little Johnny. So bullying is an issue. I believe that Durham Public Schools is taking a stand as it pertains to bullying, and supervisors and not the superintendent, but administration, principals and vice principals are the ones that are really promoting coming in and talking about bullying and adverse childhood experiences from it, and especially resilience, how one can recover one.
Well, again, thank you for all your work. Thank you.
Commissioner Echo.
Well, Wanda, I want to thank you for all your years of work and congratulations on the award. Mm, I view you as a prophet in the sense that you were talking about the importance of resilience before. It's now a very hot topic in our community and communities all around the country. But we really appreciate the work you've done for so many years in our community and continue to do. And I want to formally thank you for your work on the ACEs task force in Durham. It's so good to have nationally recognized experts like Wanda and a few others on our task force who can help lead the way as we develop. And we're kicking off our strategic planning effort with a special meeting on February 12th. And then we're actually going to plan for a summit with someone who came in to speak in Raleigh. Gail Harris and I and a few others attended that meeting, and that person's been invited to come to Durham at the March and talk to a larger group of Durham.
Great.
Wait, can I say one more thing? I just remembered something. I was asked to be on the 2030 Healthy Child Task Force for North Carolina, co-chairing social determinants and resilience. So I look forward to bringing that information back.
Fantastic. And I just want to also thank you for attaching the youth health risk assessment to this proclamation. And it was very interesting. In the interest of time, I don't want to go into it, but it was very eye-opening to read the statistics in that report. So thank you, Wanda.
Thank you.
We'll come forward and get this proclamation, please.
Great job, Wanda.
You have to do all the pomp and circumstance.
Might be good to also thank our health department for all the work they do with the youth risk behavior
Yes.
survey. They actually wrote it,
Absolutely.
compiled it and edited it and analyzed the data, so.
So we have a public hearing. I'm sorry, I skipped this consent agenda. We have one item, 19-0019 on our consent.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Howard, moved by Commissioner Recco, seconded by Commissioner Howerton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the consent agenda is approved. So we have our 2017 evaluation and assessment report of the Durham Comprehensive Plan. And we have Laura Woods here to present that item to us. Welcome, Laura.
Good evening to the board. This is as you say, the 2017 Evaluation and Assessment Report of the Durham Comprehensive Plan, and one of its most important purposes is rectification of previously adopted plan amendments in order to assure consistency between the city and county future land use maps. In 2017, the city adopted 9 changes to the future land use map. Those are listed in Table 1 of your report and included in map form in Attachment 1. Staff recommends that the board approve those changes to the future land use map, in which case both the city and county future land use maps will once more be whole. There are 2 additional items for your consideration. Proposed policy changes to the Durham Comprehensive Plan, which are in Attachment 2, and a technical update to the future land use map shown in Attachment 3. There are only a small number of text changes recommended this year. Most of the changes are merely updates of department or program names and updates of some data. There's also an update of projected land use demand this time around. We do have one new policy that is proposed that I want to highlight concerning evaluation of impacts of proposed neighborhood protection overlays on affordable housing. A mechanism for that evaluation has not yet been designed by planning staff, but we anticipate that it would serve primarily as a way of identifying proposed policies which might tend to increase the cost of housing. And it would be an informational item to the elected bodies, like much of the other information provided in your staff reports on zonings and plan amendments. Staff has a recommendation for one flume change in addition to the plan amendments shown in attachment 1. In attachment 3, there are 3. We show 3 parcels, 2 of them owned by the state of North Carolina. One was recently acquired by the city of Durham, and each of those is identified in its deed as a conservation easement. They would or could provide direct connections between Eno River State Park and the City of Durham's Valley Springs Park. We recommend that they be changed to recreation open space as an appropriate land use. Durham Council heard this report at its January 22nd meeting and approved the report by a vote of 7-0. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Laura. Any comments or questions from commissioners before I open the public hearing?
I'll wait.
Okay. So you want to ask before, or you want me to open, Commissioner Howerton?
I guess I'm looking at the comments. One of the comments, concerns about the impact of housing affordability.
Yes, do you have a question?
You know what that was about?
I beg your pardon?
Can you say a little bit about what that was about?
Yes, originally when this went to Planning Commission, the policy stated, the proposed policy stated not only that staff would evaluate the impact of proposed neighborhood protection overlay on affordable housing, that if negative impacts were identified, staff would recommend denial of the NPO. Planning Commission felt that was a step too far. In retrospect, planning agreed and took that final sentence that directed us to recommend denial out. We felt it was more appropriate to merely provide an analysis to the elected officials so that they could make the decision.
And the city has already approved it?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to make a comment now?
I guess because I was going to comment on this. I mean, which would you prefer, Madam? Do you want to open the public?
Doesn't.
All right. Well, but let me just say that, first of all, I wanted to point something out in the evaluation and assessment report. I thought it was interesting on page 10, figure 6, that the existing housing appreciation and change in average sale price is actually very moderate, relatively flat, just going from 181,500 to 200,000 in 6 months. Whereas the average sale value of new homes in the community has gone from $219,995 to $350,000. That is a huge increase.
Mhm.
I want to point that out because I actually think that the preservation of what we call naturally occurring affordable housing, the affordable housing that exists already in our community, is one of the best things we can do to preserve affordable housing, because unfortunately you can't build replacement housing now for the cost of existing affordable housing. And so neighborhoods where they do have protection overlays or historic districts that help to keep the stock of existing housing and perhaps reduce the number of tear downs and replacements is a good thing, in the sense that you can't replace housing stock for the same price as what exists. And so I was really taken by the comments that were made by Planning Commissioner Tom Miller that are attached to our report, because he does raise the issue, and I think it's great to have an affordable housing policy. I'm all for that. I'm just not sure that the current wording, even with the amendment, which I think is an improvement over the way you described the wording when it went to Planning Commission, but I personally would prefer for us to just sever that one policy and ask for it to be taken back to Joint City-County Committee, where it was never discussed, for a discussion of what would a more comprehensive and perhaps more appropriate affordable housing policy look like. Just targeting two overlaid as somewhat the culprits for affordable housing, our neighborhood protection overlay and historic district overlay, and evaluating any new proposals for them as the panacea for somehow helping on affordable housing, I'm not sure that will accomplish much, as Tom Miller points out. And interestingly, I did find in a City Lab report, which I get regularly, they talk about that it's important not to malign historic preservation as hurting affordable housing. They say that we face some tough challenges in trying to navigate these pressures, but creating a false dichotomy between affordable housing and historic preservation should not be one of them. Creating affordable housing and retaining urban character are not at all competing goals. In fact, contrary to the conventional wisdom, they can be most successful being achieved in tandem. And then I'll skip a paragraph and go down to the next one. Unfortunately, the heated rhetoric in these cases suggests there is a natural opposition between affordability and community character. In fact, we can achieve both at the same time, as evidenced by the past several years of research at the National Trust. In city after city, we have found that neighborhoods with older, smaller buildings and mixed-age blocks tend to provide more units of affordable rental housing, defined as housing whose monthly rent is a third or less of the city's median income. And it goes on and on with a lot of data. I'll be happy to share the article. But I would just say to you, that again, I would be happy to work on an affordable housing policy. I'm just not comfortable with the current.
If I may respond, The policy states, evaluate the net impact on housing affordability and housing supply. It could just as well evaluate the policies and find that the NPO supported affordable housing.
But why, if we're going to have a policy, why just target those two things as opposed to looking at other things? As Tom Miller pointed out, there may be other aspects of our actions related to land use that work against affordable housing.
Commissioner Recca, Scott Weidman from the Planning Department. This additional policy rose out of the discussions we had with the City Council when the Old West Durham Neighborhood Protection Overlay was adopted last May. Council did, as you probably know, did end up unanimously approving it, but they were concerned that if there was anything in there that would limit additional housing supply, such as prohibiting affordable accessory dwelling units or prohibiting duplexes, that they would be very concerned about a neighborhood protection overlay that did that. So we wanted to have a policy in place where we can, particularly at the front end, when neighborhoods approach us with potential NPOs, that we can make them aware that if the NPO is going to limit things such as ADUs or duplexes, then we will, the City Council, at least in this case, would be opposed to that, and then we would need to point that out. So at the time Old West Durham was being approved, we didn't really have a policy. So when the Old West Durham NPO was first submitted 5 years ago, they would have had no idea that that was an issue. We want to make sure that that is out there at the beginning.
Well,
we're not picking on these two in particular.
Okay. That helps, that context. That would have been good to have had it included in the report as context. I did not know that, but still in all, are you saying on our current comprehensive plan, we have no other affordable housing policy right now? Is this the only, would this be the only thing that references it?
We do have, the housing element has a lot of affordable housing related policies in it. We also have specific affordable housing policies based on affordable housing near transit stations. This is not the only affordable housing policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still think the wording is written, I mean, it just doesn't ring true to me, and I don't like that it casts a cloud over those two overlay zones. Is there any way that the wording could be improved? I mean, that's what I'm asking for, is better wording.
I think the wording seems so soft now that I can't imagine it being any softer. I mean, it looks like all that staff's being asked to do is evaluate the net impact on housing affordability and housing supply and all received applications for neighborhood protection overlays in local historic districts. I hope they will do that and then let us know what the results are. I understand all your points, and they're very well taken. I agree with you. We don't want to malign attempts to preserve historic neighborhoods, but I don't see this as that at all.
Yeah.
I think we need a policy specifically related to MPOs and historic districts, and it's been an omission not to have it, and now we're putting it in here, and maybe that's a step in the right direction towards a more comprehensive affordability policy.
Well, that's.
But we're working towards that, I'm assuming, with our whole revision of the comp plan. And in the meantime, I think we need to approve this. The city wants it approved, and I think it's a good idea.
Well, I hadn't finished because I still feel that, for example, you could argue that before the staff brings us rezonings from residential to commercial or office, that they should tell us what the impact might be on affordable housing. In other words, the wording, in my opinion, could be broadened to include other aspects of land use decision-making than just pulling out the impact of those two districts. That's my point.
So I think that what I'm hearing the staff say, though, is the reason this came about is because of an issue particular to questions about the long-term impacts of neighborhood protection overlays, and so this was a response to that. Again, I see it, I agree with Commissioner Carter. All it's saying is that there will be an evaluation of the net impact for affordable housing and housing supply because specifically a overlay district is different than just a rezoning. It's different than a rezoning. It is putting a set of certain restrictions and requirements over a very broad area. So I don't see it the same as a rezoning. I do think that that is a good point, though, that something like affordability should perhaps become a part of the analysis, just the way we look at impact on water, capacity, schools, transportation. So to me, that's another issue, but and whether we want to ask the planning staff to look at that.
See, that's the.
But I don't have any problem with the wording for this right now.
Well,
myself.
To me, that would be, I think we're beginning to hone in on what would have been better wording, which would have been to evaluate the net impact on housing affordability and housing supply and then you would list various changes that are considered during the course of a year by the planning department related to the use of land in our community, whether it's changing zones, putting in overlays, etc., and provide that net impact. That's more of what I would be thinking would be appropriate as opposed to singling out these.
One thing I might, it might be important to mention that when we discussed this before City Council, they did request that once the staff formulates a methodology, that we report back to JCCPC. So it could be that that might clear up some of the difficulties of that.
So the methodology on determining what the net, how you're going to assess net impact?
Correct.
Well, I would hope that when you bring back that methodology, you might also consider whether you bring back some other categories in terms of change that we might then bring forward a possible both bodies.
So you feel that we could propose a altered language for the policy at that time,
right,
while we report on the methodology.
Right.
I think that's quite.
So say again, voting for it tonight would be proposing a language. Say that again.
The language this evening would remain the same, but Commissioner Reckow suggested that when we report back to JCCPC with a methodology for doing this analysis that is called for, we also will recommend some language changes to the policy.
So you're going to.
Well, I've asked you to consider. Consider recommendation of it. And, I'm not saying you must bring, but consider it so that it would have a wider net, cast a wider net, and include other decision-making that moves parcels of land perhaps from one category like housing into another category.
And we have, design district overlays, compact neighbor. I mean, we have all different types of overlay districts. So just, really broadening, again, how we look at all different types of, when we look at comprehensive land use changes, we have all those criteria we look at. Commissioner Carter?
Would this be an appropriate time for some other general questions?
Yes, well, I'm just going to open the public hearing and then close it because I'm going to now open the public hearing. And I don't think we have anyone signed up to speak on this. So I'm going to close the public hearing, and Commissioner Carter.
Well, one just very broad question I have is, these are annual, I guess, these EAs.
That's correct.
And why is it that the county hasn't approved however many there were that the city's already approved, 9 or something?
They were within the jurisdiction
So
of
do
the
we
city.
even have to approve?
In order to rectify the future land use map, which is shared between Durham County and Durham City, that's why we do the EAR. We bring the city ones that have been approved to you to approve, and if the county has passed any, we take them to the county.
Okay, but that
or
doesn't
to the
usually
city
happen.
for the city to approve.
Okay,
As it happened in 2017, County Commission did not approve any.
right, okay, I see. So that's just the sort of the time lag, 2017 approved by them. Okay,
Well, the time lag this year's, we're a little late with this one because of a host of special projects that we kind of had to take care of. So don't be surprised if in about 4 months, you get the 2018 EAR.
okay, okay. And then the only other question I have, well, first a comment. I mean, all the materials you provided really do have a lot of useful and important information related to housing. So that's really great, and we should save all this stuff as a reference for when we do talk about affordable housing and trends and all that sort of thing. I have one question though about why would the city have approved the change in zoning at the Brightleaf neighborhood from medium density residential to low density residential? Seems like we're trying to
I wasn't
increase
party to
density
that
and
plan amendment, so I do not know.
Commissioner Carter, it was just, as you might know, the Brightleaf development is a big multi-year development, and this was a leftover track with a lot of floodplain in it, so it was almost impossible for them under their current plan to meet that higher density. So it was kind of a special case.
Okay,
In general,
special case.
your point is well taken that we shouldn't be reducing density.
That's a special case due to
Yeah.
floodplain issues, and thank you.
Commissioner Howerton.
Just one quick question. Is the only time the community gets an opportunity to weigh in on this is doing the planning commission meeting
And city council meeting.
and city council?
Mhm.
And then here.
So they don't get notified that these changes are being made?
They, other than an ad in the newspaper that lists, the general changes, yeah. This is a special case. I mean, these are already approved plan amendments. You're not approved. They're on the city future land use map. What you're doing is rectifying the county map so that the two maps correspond. They've already been approved. They're within city jurisdiction.
Now, my question is always geared that so often we make decisions that impact communities, and if the only time they have an opportunity to weigh in is at our meetings,
Well, the
they're
plan
not always
amendments,
happy with that.
yeah, the plan amendments, when they went to the city, went through the full process of notifying neighborhoods and organizations and notifying property owners within 1,000 feet. They went through the entire process and public notice, signs and all that. The approval this evening, with the exception of the 3 conservation easements, these are all approved plan amendments. They've been approved, they've gone through the full process with the city in 2017, and what the county commission is being asked to do is to rectify their future land use map by approving these changes. They're already approved on the city future land use map.
So Laura, I always enjoy reading your reports.
Thank you.
And I was just seeing the data, like on page 6, table 3, the population growth by development tiers, to see that in between 2010 and 2018, basically the downtown population doubled. And then the compact neighborhood tier population increased over 50%. And of course, population-wise, the biggest increase was in the suburban tier, but just striking to see those changes. The other one that really jumped out at me on page 8 was the senior population. That's our fastest growing sector, 67% increase in 15 years. So really glad that we're doing our senior plan, our aging plan. And then on page 9, where you talk about the increase in housing costs, really striking. That while salaries, medium household income increased about 16%, but the monthly rent for a 2-bedroom apartment increased 87%. So, again, talking about why it's so challenging for people is that salaries are not increasing at the same rate as rents are increasing. I was curious about on page 11, when you talk about the needs that will be, the different land uses that will be needed to meet demand. Does our comprehensive land use show that it will be able to meet up with these demand levels?
Currently, the office is close, but as you see, I've rolled it in with institutional because institutional future land use allows for office. Office is difficult to deal with because it can also, you can also have considerable amount of office within a commercial district. So yeah, generally speaking, we're pretty close in the industrial. We're undertaking a new industrial land use study now in anticipation of the comp plan. We felt that the one we did in, I think, 2013 probably needed to be expanded upon considerably. So we'll have a better number for that pretty soon.
Okay. And on page 12, you talk about how that there will be increased demand for more compact neighborhoods as people want to live close to job centers, services, and recreation. And I know that we are doing that around our light rail stations. We're creating compact neighborhoods. Where else are we looking at? Where else are we increasing that compact neighborhood?
Well, the compact
designation?
neighborhoods are the station areas.
Okay, so all of the station areas.
Correct.
Okay, so in other words, we're doing the right land use for what people want. I was also saw that you said that for the road on page 13, the roadways that basically in 2040, I-40 will be at level D capacity. That's quite alarming.
Yeah, that was, I brought in the I-40 stuff simply as an example. There are, in fact, you may know that there are quite a few thoroughfares and major roads in Durham that are going to be, if we do business as usual, business as usual scenario, there are quite a few roads that will be over.
Right.
Ready.
Yeah.
That out in on the RTP area. It's at level E.
Well, I was wondering because you show a lot of roads that are the existing capacity and that some of them look like we're already over the existing capacity right now. And I didn't know what LOS that translated
Level
into.
of service.
Yeah, what level of service. I think that would be helpful to actually see the level of service, but that chart is shocking on page 13. I mean, anyone who does not think that we need a regional rail system needs to take a look.
Well, I did
at
make
the-
a joke with someone who just did a presentation on the regional rail that we were talking about it when I arrived in this area to do planning in the 1990s. And I'm hoping that it's going through finally, because otherwise I'm afraid we may have to wait for transporter beams, which would render the rail.
Right, and then you also point out in detail how there are a lot of questions about autonomous vehicles
There are.
as being our savior as well. So I really appreciate, again, I always enjoy reading this report, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Recco.
Madam Chair, your comments on compact neighborhoods raised another question in my mind. I remember when we adopted our current comprehensive plan, which updated lightly, but back in '05 we adopted it, the original one, and we did have the vision for our light rail system, which we're planning for, and we had the compact neighborhoods. And at that time, we had a goal of trying to channel as much as 25% of our new housing and 40% of our new jobs into the compact areas, including downtown and 9th Street. Has anyone done an assessment of how we've performed in that regard? Because, I mean, obviously downtown certainly channeled a lot of our new housing. As Laura points out in the report, a large amount of our new population, our new housing units are in our downtown, a lot of the new jobs. So it would be interesting if, did we achieve have we achieved what we set out to do?
So we'll say, we don't know yet if we've achieved what we set out to do, but after we updated the comprehensive plan to include the compact neighborhoods along the light rail line, 2018, I think that was, then the next regional model for the MPO was run based on that plan, and it did show 25% of our new housing units and 50% of our new jobs going into compact neighborhoods.
Wow. So we actually exceeded, because I
So a
thought
model
we
is still
had
just a model.
40% new jobs.
Wow.
That's great.
That is great. And you know, I think it's so important because, again, the public needs to understand too that the light rail project is not just about transportation. It's about how we're going to grow, how we're going to manage our growth, how we're going to be able to create, you know, great places to live, and where we're going to put jobs. And the TOD guidebook predicts that a third of the population that comes here, 44,000 people, if we have 150,000, are going to live, choose to live along the light rail.
So, but that's really an important, I mean, that would be very important for folks to know, particularly with the, you know, things we need to do in the next month or two. If you could ask Patrick Young to perhaps send a memo out on this, because we have, I mean, one of the things Durham has done that sets us apart from other communities wide that light rail system is we actually have front-loaded a lot of our land use planning, and we actually have channeled growth and development already. And so we don't have to play. And I think that's what has impressed federal transit project that we have. But I do want to point that out because now we need, obviously, the infrastructure to support the fact that we have channeled so much growth to those stations.
We will let the planning director know. I think he'll be happy to do that.
Yes, very good point. Commissioner Howerton.
I want to jump down to the last paragraph on page 13. And you're talking about the electric cars and self-driving cars, and then at the end you said something about the fear of hacking into the operating systems.
Correct. Yes.
That's the last paragraph on page 13.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that you're working on, or?
That's an issue that the autonomous vehicle designers are working on. It is a problem that it has been discovered possible for nefarious individuals to hack into the electronic systems of those.
That's interesting. So somebody can take your car, take control of your vehicle.
That is correct.
Scary.
All right, well, thank you so much. So we have a resolution before us tonight to adopt.
I would move the resolution, obviously with the understanding that we will have the follow-up. Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Recco, seconded by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the resolution's unanimously approved. We have also a public hearing on the authorization of $50 million worth of general obligation GO refunding bonds series 2019. And I assume Susan Tizai, you will be telling us about this item. Susan, welcome.
This is a GO refunding from the 2016 referendum. It's refunding the 2017 bans, which was a draw program for the first tranche of funding from the 170 million referendum. So this was $50 million, that amount, and fully drawn down. So we want to refund that ban, and we will be coming back for a second draw program in the future, probably within the next month. And so what I need is the public hearing, and then to adopt the bond order, and then secondly, in a separate adoption, adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions? I now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak? Seeing there's no one here to speak on this item, I will now close the public hearing. This item is now before us. We have a request for the bond order and the bond resolution.
Madam Chair, I would move that we adopt the refunding bond order and adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds.
Moved by Commissioner Recco, seconded by Commissioner Howerton. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the order and resolution are unanimously approved. We have board and commission appointments.
Yeah.
Can you just clarify, Maceo, the people who are underlined have been recommended, is that correct? I just want to clarify that. When you see underline, it means they have been recommended by that particular board. and the I means incumbent. Yep. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Oh, yes.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I've got the results of your votes. For the Durham County Hospital Corporation, you could select one person. You've selected Catherine Thomas. For the Open Space and Trails Commission, you could select two individuals. You've selected William Aiken and LaDonna Summers. For the Public Health Board, you could select three individuals. You've selected Almond Spencer Curtis, Rosemary Jackson, and Victoria Revelle. For the Transportation Advisory Board, you can select one person. You've selected Beverly Thorpe.
Okay, thank you.
Your results, that concludes your voting.
Thank you. The board is requested to adjourn to closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3, and to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. General policy issues may not be considered in a closed session. A public body may not consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body or another body, and may not consider or fill a vacancy among its own membership except in an open meeting. Final action making an appointment or discharge or removal by a public body having final authority for the appointment or discharge or removal shall be taken in an open meeting pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6. What? Did I hear a second? Moved by Commissioner Breckow, seconded by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're unanimously moved to the longest closed session statute I've ever heard. We have adjourned from closed session and given direction to staff. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're unanimously adjourned.